Hey guys, welcome back. I apologize. So Screencastify just changed their rules, and now they are a 5 minute limit, and so we're gonna have to be keeping this short and sweet for each section. I'm sure some of you guys are happy about that. So let's just jump right in. I'm just gonna jump into example one, and remember this goes over all your solutions. Make sure you look at your notes, but I'm just really jumping into it. So example one. We have 3x squared minus 27 equals 0. I'm going to go through some extra thought processes in this. I know a lot of you guys will not be doing this, but this is a great way for you to start thinking about what this really means. So when we look at this equation, we start off with just x. That's what we want by itself. So I had x. The first thing that happened to it was it got squared. The next thing that happened, it was multiplied by 3. Then the final thing that happened to it, it was subtracted by 27. Now, the way you can think of this is I want to get back up to x. So I have to systematically and individually, which means one at a time, undo all of these operations. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So this is just a good way. If you can't just look at this and see what to do, then what you want to do is take a second, write these steps out, and then do them in reverse. That's actually what we're doing in math every single time. That's what all your teachers are doing. It's just hopefully you're getting to the point where you can see this and you know this, because you don't want to have to write this out every time because it's very time consuming, especially for your larger problems. Now, let's just jump into it. So I see the last thing that happened to the x, it was subtracted by 27. So that means I'm going to have to add 27. If I do it to one side, I'm going to do it to the other. Those cancel or add to 0. So I'm left with 3x squared equals positive 27. This one is now done. The next thing, it was multiplied by 3. To undo times 3, you divide by 3. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. Those 3's again cancel out. I'm left with x squared on the left-hand side equals 9 on the right-hand side. Now my x was squared. To undo square, you have to square root to both sides. That leaves me with x equals. Remember, I introduced the square root, meaning it wasn't there before I wrote it. So I have positive 3 and negative 3. Remember, you could always write it as plus minus 3 if you want. How about I make that look like a 3 and not a 5? Okay. So again, just reviewing this whole problem. Whenever you have equations you have to solve, you have to step back and say, what happened to my x and in what order? That way you can undo them all in the right order. Okay. So first it was x, then it was squared, then it was multiplied by 3, then it was subtracted by 27. To undo those, undo the subtract 27, undo the times 3, then undo the square. And do you undo all those things? Every time you undo, you have to think inverse operation. And hopefully we have this down. Addition, subtraction are inverse. Multiplication, division are inverse. Square root and exponents. Okay. Square root would really be the opposite of squaring. Cube root, cubing, fourth root, So this section, we're only really going to focus on squaring and square rooting to solve. But I want those always to be in the back of your mind because there's really no reason for you to not understand that. It's inverse operations. Think of it that way. Don't memorize squaring, square roots. Understand inverse operations. There's a big difference there. Okay. So that one took me a little bit longer than I wanted it to, and I believe I'm probably coming up on my time limit already. So the next one I'm just going to do real quick. X squared minus 10 equals negative 10. Okay, so x was first squared and then subtracted 10, and it was meant to equal negative 10. So now my first step, undo minus 10 by plus 10 to both sides. You're left with x squared equals 0. That's fine. Now the opposite of squaring is square rooting. Square root both